Our Changing the Game series highlights extraordinary women who are making a difference right now and also for future generations. Allison Jaslow is one of those women. She's making history right now as the first openly gay leader of a major veterans group, and she's also the first woman to lead the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, also known as the IAVA. She's CEO there. The group helps more than 425,000 veterans get the resources they need for issues like healthcare and education. And Jaslow, by the way, served 2 tours of duty as an Army officer in Iraq, 2004 and 2007. Good morning.
Really
Good morning. Good to see you all as well. Thank you for having me.
Pictures of you. You served 2 tours in Iraq.
I did.
It was 20 years ago this week that George W. Bush authorized airstrikes that led to those 2 tours in Iraq. When you think back to it, and we'll get to everything else, what do people need to remember about that war?
I think the most important thing is, it's not just remembering the war, but making sure that we learned all the lessons that we should have learned from this particular war. When you're a leader in combat, one of the most difficult days that you will ever have is when you lose somebody. When you lose somebody, you want to be able to look your soldiers in the face and say that it was for the right reasons, or any reason, or to be able to explain to them what their buddy made the ultimate sacrifice for. I can tell you from personal experience, I struggled to give my soldiers that answer. And I want platoon leaders of the future to be able to look their soldiers in the eye and know very clearly what they lost their lives for, what they got injured for. And so I think when we reflect back on the Iraq War, we need to be very clear going forward that we are keeping our eyes on, the right mission and making sure that we're getting into the right wars.
After 2 tours in the Army, do you still recommend service to young people?
Absolutely.
Because?
I know a lot of vets at this point in my career, and I don't know anybody, whether they're still serving or decided to get out, where it's not a big part of their life. I got into the Army. I wanted it to be my career. I've found other ways to serve since being in the military. But as I was telling Gayle earlier, I think though I left the Army values are still a part of me too. And so, the person that it shaped me into being, the leader that it shaped me into being, is something that I can't imagine my life without. And I would recommend to anybody military service of any kind.
Well, you're here because, Allison, our Changing the Game series, where we honor badass women. We certainly put you in that category. Why?
Thank you.
You're welcome. The first openly gay leader of a major veterans organization, the first woman to lead the IAVA.
Yes.
Did you feel pressure? Do you feel a burden because you're called the first openly gay? And that's something that you have shared.
One of the toughest things I've had to experience in my life, though I've been to combat twice, was coming out. Was coming out more so even to myself before even my friends and family. So it is difficult to put yourself out in this way, but I also know the extreme value to other people. And as somebody who sees myself as a servant leader, if I can be of service in that way as I step into this leadership role, it's worth me pushing myself out of my comfort zone to do it.
There's a startling statistic, which is an average of 20 service members and veterans die by suicide every day.
Yes.
What changes do you want to see when it comes to mental health care for our service members and our veterans?
Well, unfortunately, I don't know a vet who doesn't know somebody who died by suicide.
Wow.
So the veteran suicide crisis is continuing to be a high priority, not only for an organization like ours, but I think more broadly speaking, America doesn't want to see its best and brightest taking their own lives. So there's additional work that needs to be done to decrease the stigma. I think I give a huge amount of credit to current military leaders who are now speaking openly about their struggles. You've got men in very high-ranking positions who are talking about how it's okay to not be okay.
Yes.
But there are other things we need to look at, too. Men who serve in the military experience childhood trauma at twice the rate of civilian men. And so people who are coming in the military, if we can help them understand and unpack and heal their childhood trauma, they'll be at less risk of PTSD and other trauma further, in their career.
When it comes to understanding, I just want people to know that you were part of the group that helped Veterans Affairs change its motto,
Yes.
which was to care for him, and it shifted to those who serve.
Yes.
Which
Bravo, Allison.
It's a big win last week.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your service. Thank
Of
you
course.
so much.
An important win, too.
be
Bravo,
Thank
you.
you.
We'll be right back.
Bravo, you.